It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Good Tuesday morning.
Not
Steve
really.
Miller, Jungle Love. Oh, you had to go there already? Come on.
What the hell, man?
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Oh, Nelly, let's get right to your top 5 and 6. Kick this bad boy off. Let me see. It looks like it's 19 below zero in Minneapolis right now.
Yeah.
Boy, this is the day. You got to get through today, and then it's going to start to feel a little bit more normal. A lot of schools closed in the Twin Cities and surrounding areas for Tuesday. Minneapolis Public Schools, the Anoka-Hennepin Public School District, among many others, all for the day. It's just too damn cold to learn, kids.
Yeah, right. Oh, don't they have that in-home learning? Kids don't get time off anymore, right? They just
better
plop them down in front of a computer. I got a message this morning from Scott who said that if your pipes do freeze, all right, the water pipes in your house freeze, and you have to step outside to pee, you have about 30 seconds before the tip of your wiener turns white.
Oh, my.
About 30 seconds. Just a little heads up out there.
Yeah, I think you might want to go. You might want to go find that empty Gatorade bottle and stay indoors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right in the sink.
Do yourself a favor. But the cold weather not accompanied by any snow, as everybody with a window is well aware. However, that's not the case because the snow is coming as many as 6 inches possible in New Orleans.
That's such crap.
That's such crap. New Orleans is looking at a possible 6 inches of snow. Houston, Texas, expecting 5 inches. The all-time record is 3. So, my goodness, this is some historic weather happening elsewhere, but we still don't have any of the white stuff. This is
fire
like
and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40
That's
inches
it.
darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah.
Just imagine drinking a hurricane in a snowstorm. It doesn't make sense. It's just that simple. This is horrifying. Speaking of horrifying, last night, number 4 in your top 5 and 6 in the national championship game for college football, Ohio State, a team I have rooted against my entire life, played Notre Dame, a team I have rooted against my entire life. I didn't watch much of it, but Ohio State won the national title 34-23. That's their 9th title in history. I think this game is significant. Mostly because it just shows, make no mistake about it, the Big Ten is set to dominate college football for quite a while. Simply because of the NIL. They got all the money. They can outspend all the SEC schools. Maybe not Texas, but everybody else. The days of Alabama and Georgia and LSU, it's over. It's all about the Big Ten.
Beautiful.
So now I'm immediately looking at you, Minnesota alum. Get out the checkbooks. Let's start buying some players. Let's go. So you've got Michigan and Ohio State, your last 2 national champions. Penn State's returning all but 2 starters, and they got a lot of money there. It's just going to be the way it is. The big money is going to win the titles. And with Oregon in the Big Ten now and USC and UCLA, I mean, forget it. It's over. SEC, you had a good run. Screw you. It's all about the Big Ten. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. Boy, we humans are real simple, aren't we? Just as simple as it gets. A new study out of Purdue University says a great way to get a second date with someone is to order dessert on the first date. It's just that simple. The brain reacts very similarly to eating something sweet and the way it reacts to falling in love. They both release dopamine into the brain, and they activate reward centers in a similar way. So if you get dessert on your first date, it helps to activate those romantic feelings. The other person might have stronger feelings for you than they would have without dessert.
Well, this sounds scientific. So only dessert? You don't order the main, because you can't order a main course and then say, how about some dessert? You just will call her a fat ass.
Wow.
Come on.
That's a very good point. I was just thinking about like my own history, which was I would order the meal and then eat what she didn't eat off her plate, and then there'd be no room for dessert. And that oddly didn't lead to a lot of second dates.
Right. Yeah.
Man, who knew it was all about the brownie cake? You know what I mean?
Right. Uh-huh.
Well, we're trying. Speaking of how simple the human beings can be, number 2 on your top 5 and 6 of all the stories coming out of California with those historic wildfires. It was I guess it was inevitable, only a matter of time until you just went, oh, you got to be kidding me. 2 people were arrested Friday over the weekend from Oregon. What were two people from Oregon doing? They were impersonating firefighters inside the Palisades fire zone. And not only were they impersonating firefighters with the gear they were wearing, they had their own fire truck. They had bought it at an auction, apparently.
Wow.
And they rolled up, it says the Roaring River Fire Department from Oregon. And they had their turnout gear. They were wearing CAL FIRE T-shirts, helmets, radios. They were just dressed to look the part. Dustin Neal and Jennifer Neal. It doesn't say what their relation is, but they have the same last name. He's 31. She's 44. They're both in a lot of trouble, and they both need, at the very least, to have some significant head slaps.
Yeah, I think so. It turns out the guy in the thing, I thought, well, these are a couple of people that are really striving to be do-gooders.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to get involved. Let's buy a fire. We're going to get down there one way or the other. Forget all that training that's required. But it turns out he's got a long crime rap sheet for mischief and misbehavior, probably down there just to rob some folks and do some looting.
Yeah.
But elaborate. They went all the way, you know, with the fire truck and everything.
They made the commitment, and now hopefully they're in a very, very dark room for a very, very long time. That is awful. Number one on your top five at 6 is going to wait 1 second because I want to say hello and good morning to our listeners in North Branch.
North Branch, yeah.
Listen,
Shaking more than twice you're playing with it?
What's that?
I don't know. She said, what's shaking, North Branch? I don't know. The coldest of all the branches, the North Branch.
The North Branch. Bundle up, North Branch. Don't go to school. We give you the day off. Be careful out there. Number one on your top five at 6. Speaking of the fires, if you haven't heard yet, January 30th, there's going to be a couple of concerts called Fire Aid. Huge. They're going to be streaming on all your audio platforms. They will be streaming on video. Apple TV Max, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Prime. All of them will be showing this. AMC Theater locations in 70 U.S. markets. It's just going to be one act after the other. Billie Eilish, Dave Matthews, Earth, Wind & Fire. Okay, you got my interest. Joni Mitchell, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Sting, Rod Stewart, and now just added Alanis Morissette. John Fogerty, Graham Nash, Stevie Wonder, a lot of artists. Everybody's coming in. I'm sure even more will be added. The Eagles have already cut a check for $2.5 million to the event. Their manager, Irving Azoff, is putting this thing on. Nice job, everybody turning out, getting on stage, and doing their best to raise money because this is just the beginning of a momentous few years for Los Angeles as it tries to rebuild and figure out what the hell they're going to do now. So that's going to be more than worth our time.
Yeah, it happened out in L.A., right? So you got, remember the big flood aid they put together for the city of Asheville and North Carolina residents? All those other national disasters? No, not so much. Okay. Well, anyway, go L.A.
Hey, man, listen. You know, what are you talking about? There was gigs at Madison Square Garden. There were gigs. People raised money for Asheville. There were concerts going on, just maybe not in L.A. That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, just saying. There's your top five at 6. I almost said top 5 at 9. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's your top 5 at 6. Getting a new driver's license. Man, it can be a pain in the ass. And that's when you're actually still alive. A woman in Maryland had a pretty crazy story. She turned up to the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration system in November looking at the DMV. She's like, I need a new driver's license. And listen to what she was told.
It then appears that I am deceased. I got a little frightened, I'm not going to lie, and surprised because I am alive. I'm here.
Paulino says the MVA told her they couldn't renew her license. She also got this letter from the IRS saying deceased taxpayer. And she says her health insurance was canceled for her and her 3 kids.
After we started asking questions, Paulino says she got a call from Social Security and they told her the mistake was due to a typo.
According to the representative, a funeral home had tried to report someone else dead, but they got a digit wrong in the Social Security number and put Paulino's number instead. Yo. The Social Security Administration sent News 4 a statement saying its records are highly accurate, and of the more than 3 million death reports they receive each year, less than 1/3 of 1% are subsequently corrected. But if you do the math, that means more than 10,000 reports are wrong each year.
10,000 wrong reports of who's dead. By the way, think about that. Couldn't get her driver's license, but also, that's right, lost her health insurance. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if people are depending on you, this is a huge pain in the ass. But I'm sitting here just daydreaming, thinking this solves a lot of issues for me. You can have my health insurance anyway, because I'm dead. I mean, I'm dead. Leave me alone. I'm dead. I don't know. It sounds kind of nice.
Deceased taxpayer. Like George Harrison said, declare the pennies on your eyes. They're still going to come for you, even in death. That's how that goes.
Cash.
I guess it's all being cleared up. But, man, just double check your Social Security number next time you're at a funeral. Make sure no one gets those lines crossed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, every time I get one digit wrong on my Social Security number, say filing my taxes, it's a big deal.
I know.
Suddenly people come looking for you, and I've done something wrong. I've only done something that they do at funeral homes 10,000 times a year.
10,000 times a year. You can find Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast anywhere you get podcasts, anytime you want. Sponsored by Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. It's January 21st. Let's look back, shall we? On this day in 1979, Brian Zepp was dancing and high-fiving because Terry Bradshaw had 4 touchdown passes, including 2 to Stallworth. The Steelers over the Cowboys, 35-31 in Super Bowl 13. Holy smokes. I remember that game very well. And I imagine the Zepp household was feeling good that day.
I mean, there was a low point in there. I forget what exactly. Oh, it's when Hollywood Henderson stripped the ball from Terry Bradshaw and returned it for a touchdown.
Yeah.
The football, Nerf ball I had in my hand, I whipped across the living room and knocked over a lamp, and that was the end of the Super Bowl for me. I did not see one play again after that until I was much older, and they had a thing called VHS and Super Bowl highlight moments and stuff like that. So, no, I was sent upstairs to think about what I had done.
I apologize for bringing up a sensitive, bittersweet memory. My bad.
No.
On this day in 1990, speaking of sensitive and bittersweet, John McEnroe became the first player disqualified from a Grand Slam event in 30 years at the Australian Open. McEnroe, he went full McEnroe to the point where the on-court judge had to say, you're done, dude. You're out, and kicked him off the court again at a major. And, of course, we all can imagine what it sounded like.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious. That ball was on the line. Shot flew up. It was clearly in. How can you possibly call that out? He's walking over. Everyone knows it's in this whole stadium.
Oh,
whole stadium.
Yeah, back when tennis was fun to watch.
That was the best. He was kicked out of the court, out of the match, and the audience, 15,000 Australians chanted, "We want McEnroe" for 10 minutes before finally relenting. They would not. They said, "No, sorry, he's out." It's pretty special when you are at a major and they kick you off the court. I love John McEnroe. What a blast!
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Tuesday's unfun day around here. We've got some unfun facts to take with you wherever you're going. Share them along. Take away the fun from the rest of your day. Here's one for you. Every single day, the average person consumes 1 to 2 cups of snot.
Oh, yeah. I guarantee I consume a lot more than that. But as a doctor once told me, when I told him, I'm like, I produce a lot of phlegm all the time, whether I have a cold or not.
Yeah.
I'll go through a box of Kleenex every morning.
Yep.
And he said, hey, greases the colon. Swallow it.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Grease the colon. Snot's good. Keeps that poop just flying out of your ass.
Man, this would be a great time for Chauncey Gorman to speak English. Look at him over there. The amount of snot that dude produces on a daily basis, he sneezes and swallows at least 4 cups a day. Incredible.
Yeah.
And that explains why he's just so damn regular. Well, fair enough. Check this out. Here's something that's unfun as hell. Teratoma, or also known as monstrous tumors, also known as evil twins, that can grow on your brain. A 26-year-old patient, doctors found a tumor on her brain. During surgery, they discovered that the brain tumor itself had bone, hair, and teeth.
Holy nightmare.
Yeah, this happens. It's like that movie from the 70s, It's Alive. Remember that? That was more about killer babies, but still, the point remains. A brain tumor with bone, hair, and teeth. Doctors believe when they find these tumors, they are undeveloped twins that didn't survive in the womb and therefore latched onto the surviving baby, and they can grow in tumor form anywhere in the surviving baby's body.
You got to eat them when you're in the womb. That's what they do. You do.
That's what Elvis Presley did to his twin, right?
Yeah, he gobbled him right down.
Yeah, he gobbled his twin brother in a deal with the devil to become the king of rock and roll. Maybe I got that wrong. No, I'm sorry. He ate his baby brother, and then the deal was every 6 weeks, if he sees his shadow. No, hang on, I'm screwing this up. All right, never mind. So, I don't know. All I know is Elvis is king. There, I said it. I'm supposed to say it at least once a week. It's in the contract. Done. Moving on. Mm-hmm. Saddam Hussein, remember him, our friend from Iraq?
Yeah, for a while.
Saddam Hussein, he actually was a friend for a while. He was on our side of things. Saddam Hussein, in 1979, was given the key to Detroit, Michigan.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. A lot of Iraqis had migrated there, or what's the word I'm looking for? But anyway, ended up moving to the Detroit area because they had been, tortured and driven out of their country by Saddam Hussein. Let's give them the key. Why not? It's Detroit. What the hell? Detroit, Baghdad, same frickin' thing.
You know what? A lot of Iraqis had moved to Detroit, and in fact, he donated a ton of money to a Detroit church full of Iraqi expats. That's where it actually came from. And then when the Gulf War broke out 20 years later, the second one, 20 some odd years later, the priest who had accepted his money, and then who had done an awful lot to try to get him the key to Detroit, said, he was a great guy when I met him. I guess money and power changed him. Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'd love to experience that myself.
Imagine. I mean, think about who you are without money and power, and then imagine getting, it's basically miracle grow for who you already are, is what I see it as. So, good thing that we're all just sitting pretty right where we are now. I don't want to think about the things that we would bring to the human race if given all the power.
Baby, burn.
The Galapagos Islands. You want to have a lot of fun? Go down there, but don't look too closely. Darwin's favorite vacation spot. Freshwater drinking is very scarce on the Galapagos Islands. And certain bird species, such as the Galapagos hawk, have adapted. They've evolved to become the kind of animal who, they can't find water. They drink the blood of other animals. They start to hunt. It used to be enough to rip apart a squirrel and eat him. Now they're hunting simply to get blood to drink. So maybe let's get a deal with Evian. Let's cut in some drinking water down to the Galapagos Islands.
There it is. Evolution at work. That Galapagos.
Got to do what you got to do. Here's something that's not fun at all. About 30 people a year in the United States are killed, and 17,000 people a year are injured in elevator accidents.
No
thanks.
Wow.
I mean, like the cable broke and it just plunged to the bottom, and
I didn't think that was still possible. I thought they had all the
safety stuff.
The double checks and the clickers and the bells and the whistles, and that's not possible. I'm curious. The 30 people dying, that's one thing. How are 17,000 people injured? That's like a heel gets stuck in the tiny little gap, maybe, or you just it's just too crowded and someone has a panic attack and then someone has to punch them in the face. What happens? How are 17,000 people getting injured in elevators? I say that because I was in a stuck elevator once with 6 people, 2 of whom were completely having like anxiety panic attacks, and I thought about kicking the crap out of both of them.
Yeah. Take the stairs if you have claustrophobia. Stairs.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's really all you got to do. Finally, about 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered each year in this country, and about 1,000 of those 1 year after discovery are still unidentified. Remember, if you're going to go out and get lost and fall into a ditch and accidentally die, have ID with you. Come on. Very important.
Yeah.
Or not. I mean, we got a lot of people. We don't need to identify all of them.
Well, that's very true. Sometimes, it's like we already talked about the person who the Social Security got her number wrong, and they said, no, I'm sorry, you're dead. You can't get a new driver's license. You're dead. See, that's like She doesn't know how far ahead of the game she is. Just continue on just continue on your life. As you said, Zepp, it just sounds like a relief, honestly. But if you don't intend to be dead, just always carry an ID. Just make it simple for yourself. Make it easier for the person whose job it is to figure out who the hell that guy over there in that ditch is. There's your unfun facts for the day. Hey, the 2025 Tee It Up golf card. Oh, that's fun. Golf. Well, I mean, it's supposed to be. Tee It Up golf card is presented by Club Champions. Club Champion is on sale now. You can golf 6 area courses. You can save nearly $200. Get yours before it sells out. Text the word golf to 651-989-ROCK. And I have a question. And if you want to send in a text, let us know what you think the answer might be. Feel free. 651-989-ROCK. This is maybe great news. My kingdom for a time machine is really all I think when I read this. A study out of the University of the West in Scotland has come up with a pretty fascinating way to predict whether a woman will be able to climax regularly. Okay. And it's based on a feature of her physiology. I'm curious what you think it might be. Now, I'm going to see if you guys are going down the right road here. So if there's a feature on a woman's body that can indicate just simply upon sight. You don't have to do any investigative work beyond that. Just upon sight, that may be a surefire way to determine whether or not this woman will be able to climax regularly. As I said,
me?
my kingdom for a time machine.
Yeah.
What
I got it.
Yeah.
Ryder, what do you think the answer is?
I think what if it's like extra large areolas? Lots of nerve endings there. Lots of action going on.
All right. You know what? I see where you're going, and that's a perfectly reasonable answer.
Yeah.
How about this? If I told you to check out a woman's areolas generally means she would have to be naked. Not necessary. Clothing is not. Clothing can stay in place. In this study, in this research,
hard
for the
to have
answer
sex
here.
with them when they have all their clothes on. Not impossible.
It's doable.
First of all, I've always thought the female climax was a myth, but this is interesting. I'm gonna roll with it. How about?
Let me say this. This is something that just to further the point we just made. A G-rated movie, a kid's film. You see this on anybody at any age. It's not.
This guy.
You don't have to go into a bar. You don't have to put on the beer goggles to find this feature.
So it's not body acne, because I knew a multi-orgasmic chick once. It was a little gross once you got started, but man, boy, would she go off like the 4th of July.
That's why they have lights. That's why the lights turn off easily.
I know, but it's bumpy. Not a wiener. A wiener would be nice. I always found they're easier to get off. If she had a wiener, that would. How about a winning smile?
Boy, wouldn't that be nice? No, I'm sorry, that's not it. Joe texted in ears. No, sorry, that's not it.
She has ears.
It's just something you could just take a quick look at. And by the way,
she has ears.
Now, this is something found on both women and men, but with the women, it's an indicator that there may be more frequent climaxes. Any other guesses before the big reveal?
Yeah, less gross than acne. What about like goosebumps or something like that? Easily stimulated?
Okay.
Oh, see? All right. Ryder, you are the scientist of the show. You really put a logical brain on these sort of things.
I know a lot about the female orgasm, so there we go.
We're listening. No, I did a little Googling, and I believe I've got it. I didn't Google this, but it just popped into my head when Ryder was talking there, and that would be the unibrow. If she has a unibrow. Survey says?
Incorrect, but
what?
But it would certainly make sense. I mean, you have to, the universe should pay you back for something if it's giving you a unibrow. I mean, there should be, hey, sorry about that unibrow. Here, enjoy every bit of activity you get. No, you know what it is? And now this is going to lead to a whole lot of people checking out a whole lot of people. Apparently, if a woman has a prominent tubercle on her upper lip. You know what that is?
No.
That little bump in the middle of the upper lip. You can see, right in the middle. Some people have a little bump right there. It's larger, it's more pronounced, and apparently a bigger lip bump does lead to, as I've mentioned, more frequent climaxes in women. The theory is that it has to do somehow with fetal growth. The development of sexual arousal and different physical characteristics are linked. And how about that, lip readers?
Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
Bonus points for lip readers.
Yeah, I'm going through my Facebook profile pictures, women only, right now. April. Oh, no, she's in a committed relationship. Sue. No, not Sue either.
Not
She's
Sue.
not. Rock and Ron. Oh, she's happily taken. Yeah, I can't. All right, well, I'll keep going through my Facebook photos here.
Well, you know how you hear women sometimes, they go, hey, dude, my eyes are up here. Now they're going to be going, hey, guy. No, my eyes are just a little more up. Go. What are you doing? Stop staring at my upper lip. What's the matter with you?
Well, and what's that called again? I mean,
It's a prominent, it's known as a prominent tubercle. It's like tubercle.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully she doesn't have a mustache covering it up.
Well, that may be why. I mean, maybe that's what was the actor, the artist Frida, the Mexican painter who had the prominent mustache. Maybe she, and I saw the movie, and my God, she was sexually active. So maybe that was the whole point. She was keeping that prominent tubercle to herself.
Well, why do I have a feeling we just created a nuisance for a lot of women at work today? What are you looking at? Nothing. I was just, did you get your hair cut? That's not what you're staring at. Were you listening to KQ this morning, you perv?
Yeah. Big Al texted in the length of their fingers would help achieve frequency of orgasm. I don't know if that's for...
Well, that's a self-pleasure, I think. Yeah.
Possibly.
Maybe. Well, just to get it around Big Al,
That's exactly right. But if you look at photos of the anatomy of the lips, you will find there's several tubercles within the lips, but it's that prominent one in the middle of the upper lip. That's the one we're looking for here. You can go awry if you get stuck on that lower lip. You might find yourself going in the exact opposite direction. Try as much as you want. No matter what you do, you're not going to get the desired result. So that's it. I'll be honest. We've gone this far into this conversation, and I have yet to, and have no intention. I have no plans to focus in on Ryder's lips. I'm just going to keep this professional. It's got nothing to do with me or my future. I mean, we're all in very committed relationships.
Yeah, everybody's going to the KQ website right now to take a look. I'm sure.
We're friends on Facebook. You came right up, and that's a full. She gave us a full frontal face picture. And horns up, by the way. Looking good in those shades. Yeah, not bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm not going to comment any further because I'm a gentleman.
No, you're not.
Come on.
I just think, you know what? I mean, you have. There's a lot of evidence out there that there are plenty of our fellow citizens who are, and I think it's healthy to be skeptical, a little skeptical around a lot of what we hear from the world of quote science. But this is something I think we can all agree. This when I see a guy in a lab coat and he comes out and he goes, if you're interested in something that can help you to determine whether a woman is going to climax regularly, I think we can all agree that's worth listening to. That's the kind of science we can all get behind.
Yes.
Just like to think anyway. I mean, I could be wrong on that one. It just seems like this is, I mean, we should all be looking for things to agree on. It's like we're all still here. We're all, wherever we are, we're all of multiple stripes, but this is our country and we should all agree that this is the kind of thing we should be putting science behind.
For sure.
Well, yeah, I'm saluting right now. Amen, brother.
God. And because, I mean, in a world full of, when the tech guys are calling the shots, it can just get a little weird. And I mean, like this TikTok ban over the weekend, we all saw, right? TikTok goes away for 12 hours and then it comes back and you have people celebrating like we just won World War II again. I mean, it was just getting a little out of hand. But in that 12 hours of darkness, in that 12 hours where the TikTok world looked like it may be reaching the end, one teenager in Wisconsin showed us all that he deserves the ultimate head slap. And I think you would have a hard time arguing that. We'll explain what this one Wisconsin teenager did over the weekend without TikTok. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Tuesday, January the 21st. It's really, really, really cold out there. It has been for a few days. But that's no reason to set a fire. I mean, unless you have a fire pit or a fireplace or somewhere where you can responsibly contain the sumbitch. A 19-year-old in Wisconsin is facing some arson charges. He set fire to his congressman's office. Congressman Glenn Grothman got a phone call. Sir, your office is on fire. This happened over the weekend. Listen to the congressman talking about it and see if you can pick up on the fact that there's a reason for this arson. He sort of explains it right towards the end, and then we'll discuss. Here's Congressman Grothman.
We got a call early this morning. Apparently last night around 1 o'clock, some 19-year-olds from Menasha came down and decided to try to set our office on fire. They didn't get in the office, but nevertheless, there was a lot of smoke in the office, which is obviously going to result in a lot of damage. A lot of the siding and air conditioner look like they're quite damaged. But I suppose in today's world, things just keep getting worse. And rather than just call my office and saying, let's open up TikTok, he decided to try to burn it down.
Yeah, that's right. Instead of calling his congressman and saying, let's try to open up TikTok, he decided to burn it down. That's right. TikTok went dark for 12 hours. And a 19-year-old Wisconsin, I love that they call him in the news, a 19-year-old Wisconsin man. Okay, we have a different idea of what a man is. A 19-year-old went to his congressman's office because he couldn't log into TikTok anymore and set fire to said politician's office. If that's not reason enough to ban TikTok forever, I don't know what else you need.
Right. And he didn't think it through. It'd be terribly unsatisfying for him because he had nowhere to post the video then of him setting the... And I like, is the congressman, I'm looking at the video at the news story here in Fond du Lac, is his office in the back of a Quick Trip?
Looks to be.
It looks like it might be. Well, good for him.
It looks to be. It was a strip mall. He's got this office. The average congressman's not making huge amount of money, and so he puts it in the back of a strip mall. You can go in there and get your beef jerky, or have a chat with your congressman, whatever it needs to be.
Very nice. Set it on fire, huh? Well, I mean, it's got him out of the basement, right? Got him up and moving around.
Nothing better than reading news stories where I love this line. The man told authorities he started the fire, quote, in response to recent talks of a TikTok ban. Something tells me what the kid said was, get on TikTok! I lost my mind. I didn't know who I was anymore without the videos. And to your point, Zep, imagine the depression that set in when he had to post the video of that fire on Instagram. I mean, it's just not the same thing, people. My God.
And I believe the congressman said, instead of just coming down and asking me to turn it on, I mean, does he have that power? Is that where the TikTok button is at?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the congressman's office? I didn't know.
Glenn Grothman, a congressman in Fond du Lac. Yep, he controls TikTok. He's got the switch right there. It's right behind the turkey jerky, actually. Just because he knows no one will find it there. That's how that works. People are losing. For 12 hours, we didn't have TikTok. I say we, but as a society, Americans lost TikTok for 12 hours, and when it returned, it was as if it was like the French when Lindbergh landed. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's a miracle!" 12 hours. What do you have in your life that you cannot go 12 hours without? What I mean,
a drink.
What's that?
A drink.
Okay, Totally checks out. Anything else that you can't imagine 12 hours without? I consider it a success that nothing comes to mind in my life. I can handle 12 hours without anything in my life, I think.
Yeah. A National Nothing Day, I went all day with nothing. Yeah. Just sat there quietly contemplating TikTok. I'm a little frustrated. I use TikTok to spy on the Chinese. And I feel like I've been out of the loop. Or, God bless my Aunt Jane, my sweet, beautiful, hippie, Luddite Aunt Jane, who yesterday told me in a beautiful phone conversation, she called me to wish me happy birthday. I didn't even correct her and let her know that she was well over a week late. But she said, on the TikTok stuff. I said, yeah, about the TikTok stuff. She goes, it's not that hard to find a good Chinese restaurant. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean? She goes, isn't that the app where you find Chinese restaurants? I said, yes, as a matter of fact, it is. Aunt Jane. I love you so much.
Oh,
man. And she also, her favorite band, the Jayhawks. And I know you're not listening because she lives in Maine. On a lake with no road. You have to land there in a plane to get to her place on the lake. And she's fantastic. She has a phone now, but I know she's not listening on 92KQRS.com. I'm just positive of it. But I hope she found a good Chinese place there in central Maine.
All I know about Aunt Jane is what I've just heard, but I know enough to know that she won the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she won. She's happy. She's just happy.
But kids freaking out without TikTok. There's such a rise, a giant spike. It's not even a spike. It's like a catastrophic rise in gaming addictions over the last decade and a half, and that's a very real thing. Which, of course, I used to look at and go, "Come on, what are you kidding me? What is this crap?" My kids were given a Wii console from a family member when they were like 7 and 5 at Christmas. We had not brought video games into the house. And I didn't bring video games into the house because going back to the 80s, recognized video games. I had withdrawals from video games. I used to play Dig Dug. You remember that game, Dig Dug?
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, it's just a ridiculous game where you're digging tunnels and trying to kill you have a thing called a puka and a figar, and you hit them with a bike pump and blow them up and they die before they eat you. And then you dig a hole and get a rock to drop on them. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. I kid you not, in the summer of 1982, I believe I was addicted to Dig Dug because I would play that game every night at the Quick Stop, and I'd put in a quarter, and I would stare at that screen for 40 to 50 minutes per quarter, and then I would lay in bed, and I couldn't sleep because I just kept seeing the patterns on the boards, and I would hear the song. I mean, it's stamped into my brain to a point where I could go years without playing and stick in a quarter and just go and go and go. And I mentioned that to a friend, and he said, I had to stop playing Pac-Man. Same thing. So I was way ahead of this whole gaming's not good for your brain thing, I'd just like to say. And I tapped out, mostly because, honestly, I just kept running out of quarters. But my kids got a Wii all those years later, and it was brought in, because I had this thing. I was like, I don't want them to play video games till they're much older. And then a nephew said, hey, he bought them a Wii without even asking us, which I was like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? And then I saw that you could do a bowling game. I was like, all right, let's set it up. Let's see what happens. But then the kids started playing Mario Kart. They were 7 and 5. They played all day long. And the second day we had it, I said, okay, guys, that's it. That's enough Wii. And they both went crazy. They went feral, screaming, throwing things. Neither one of them had ever acted like that once. And it took exactly 2 days and me saying it was time to turn the game off for them to turn into wild animals. And I was like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's if it wasn't for that Mario Kart on Wii, I might not have ever met my children. As a divorced father, they had a Wii, and so I was like, all right, begrudgingly, I would go spend time with them because they had Mario Kart. The greatest ever. You reminded me of this video when we were talking about this story off air earlier this morning, and it's a fantastic video, but we're going to skip right to about the middle of it. But it starts with a kid coming into his room, older teenager, maybe not even a teenager, maybe he's like 20, he's older, and he comes into his room and finds out that all of his video games are gone, and there's where the freak out starts, the panic, the legitimate, I need another hit of smack panic, and then he runs out in the yard, and there they are, all piled up in the yard, and Dad on the riding lawnmower, and that's where we join this fun.
I don't care, you gotta get a job. What is this out of your room for one? What does this achieve? What does that mean? What is this gonna do? Mowing my games over. Maybe you'll quit playing for a while, get a job, pay some of your bills. I'm never gonna quit playing. You damn it!
Wait for it. That's my favorite part right there at the end.
Get that kid an axe and tell him it's firewood or bust. Just send him out in the woods.
And a maniacal laugh from Dad just smack in the middle of that?
The kid, no, it was the guy filming it. It was the guy who was holding the phone was just laughing maniacally.
Probably a brother or an uncle or something. But fun fact, Dad did that to save that kid's life. That kid now, a congressman in Wisconsin.
Go figure, man. It's amazing. It's sometimes tough love is the best love. Make no mistake about it. At least he didn't go Miles Davis on him. You know, Miles Davis's dad wanted to get his son off heroin, so he kidnapped him and tied him to a post in a barn for weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, just like literally just tied him up, said, I'll see you when you're clean. You know, sometimes these things take drastic measures.
Yeah, it does.
I can't. I'm trying to think of what could my dad have possibly said to me that I would have said, no, sorry, man, that's not on the table. I think my dad had it right. I'll never let my kids get hooked on anything because I'll just make sure they're scared of me from the day they enter this world. And it worked.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was fear. Yeah, fear. I still fear my dad a little bit, and I probably don't have anything. I think I can take him. I'm going to try next time I go home. I think I can finally take him. But no, it should be a health. You should. No, I'm not exactly sure. You know, that old man strength, that's a real thing. Older man strength, because I'm an old man. But I don't know. My kids don't fear me, but thank God they just are brighter, much smarter than I am. Girls, you know.
My dad moved on to the next realm back in 2017. And the last time we had lunch, he was frail. He was in his late 80s. He was in rough shape. And I was still just looking at those Popeye Steve Garvey forearms going, I don't think I could still take this sumbitch. Gee, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, old man strength is very real.
Oh, yeah.
One of those things. It is Tuesday, January the 21st. It is really, really, really cold out there. The temperatures are going to come back around tomorrow a little bit. But for right now, we are still under the that cold threat. Be careful out there. Layer up. Be smart. Don't get into a crash on your way to work or anywhere. Don't do that to yourself and your fellow drivers. Let's be careful, shall we? We've been talking on the show today. Science is pretty much determined. There's a feature on a woman's body that will help you to determine whether or not they are going to be capable of climaxing regularly. And apparently a study showed it was the prominent tubercle, that little bump in the middle of their upper lip. If they've got a prominent little bump there, chances are they're a little more likely to climax, as I said. KQ Talking text line. I do have to share a text from Jack who said, women who have peach fuzz sideburns are extra horny.
Oh, all right.
So you can find a fuzzy one with the lip thing, you're good to go.
So now, not only do I have to stare at the woman, but I've got to get her in just the right light at the right angle.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I'm some sort of spaz. I'm going to be leaning down and trying to catch a glance of light off of her cheek.
But you know what? If Jack and our scientists in Scotland are on the ball, I think it's going to be more than worth the effort.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do about it anymore anyway.
You probably got, you know what? I bet there's a light feature in your phone you don't even know about. Not that spotlight, not the floodlight, but there's probably some app you can open up and just wave it in front of their face, and it'll give you the exact dimensions of their tubercle, and it'll tell you exactly how much peach fuzz is on that cheek.
All right.
If that doesn't exist, we should definitely make it.
Okay, I'm going to write the code up for that today.
Like a moneymaker.
Yeah.
Just another added to the list of benefits women have. Now, men think they can determine your likelihood for climax. Just another great day in the life of women when scientists release a thing like that. I'm curious, there are many, many obvious benefits to being a woman. If you want to share you have found, sure. Okay. With a little bit of work, and I mean a little, you can wrap pretty much every dude you meet right around your finger. So if there are certain benefits you can think of, feel free to share them on the text line 651-989-ROCK. Check this out. This is a study from Norway, the land of women. 37,000 people in a study, and they found out that men are, in fact, they do tend to be more forgetful than women, and that is regardless of age.
Yeah.
And they're not offering any examples of why. They're not suggesting they know why that's the case. But generally speaking, men are more forgetful about any number of topics, anything just across the board. And I'll tell you what the answer is, because all we're ever really thinking about it is ourselves. When you say, I did this in 1997, we go, well, in 1997, and then you forget their story. You just think about yourself. That's where the male brain goes. You're just
So these are benefits of being a man.
Well, this is a benefit of being a woman. The whole idea that men are more forgetful. Trust me, I have a really pretty fine-tuned memory, and I don't think that's a benefit. If being forgetful, to me, is a benefit of being a man. So
right, exactly.
But I guess if it comes down to
dudes won.
I guess if it's where did I leave my keys, okay, women, you win. But on a lot of that, check this out. Here's another odd benefit from being a woman. Women, and I've read this in other studies as well, have a better sense of smell. Women,
that's a benefit.
A recent study found women have up to 50% more cells in their olfactory bulb, the part of your brain that tells you what things smell like. 50% more of those cells? Again, I'm struggling to determine or to figure out why that's a benefit. One theory is that it is to detect pheromones. I mean, just... pheromones, schmeromones. I smell like Dial soap. What else do you need to know?
Yeah, Drakkar here, but maybe a little less. Maybe a little less Drakkar for the ladies because of that nose. No one knows like the nose knows. Am I right, ladies?
Yeah, the smell thing. Ryder, do you have a sensitive...
I can't smell a damn thing, and my
Really?
husband's a super smeller, and like I suck at smelling anything. But I'm glad about that because I'm sure the house smells rotten.
Yeah, well, cohabitating with a super smeller is a bit of a pain because they're kind of like, it stinks, it stinks. I'm like, I don't smell anything. I don't know if you're punking me. Yeah.
Well, Rosemary found she had an incredibly heightened sense of smell the 2 times she was pregnant. And I mean, like, to the point where I was just like, I'll just stay in the other room. I mean, you're smelling like the little toe, what's in between my toes when I take my socks off. I can't deal with this. It was so hard. And in fact, during her, when she was pregnant with Marley, our dog right in our backyard got sprayed by a skunk. And as bad as that was for me for the next several days, when a skunk lets loose in your backyard, it doesn't just go away. She truly went and stayed at a friend's house the next day. She could not be anywhere near our house. She couldn't breathe. And I was kind of like, let's see, she's 7 months pregnant and I'm not going to see her for a day. Okay, that's a fair trade. That'll work. Okay. That just means I'm going to be able to sit down for more than 5 minutes without jumping up and having to get something.
Right.
Here's another thing. Women are less likely to become alcoholics, apparently. And here's why. It might have something to do with the feel-good hormone dopamine. When men drink, they produce more dopamine than women when they drink. And that's in the part of the brain that's associated with addiction. So a man has a drink and the dopamine starts coming in strong. And he's like, this is great, man. Yeah. And then when women drink, they don't produce nearly as much. So they have a better chance of developing that whole weird idea of saying, no, one was plenty, thanks.
What? Yeah, but why do men drink? Huh? Think about it.
Boy.
Think about it. I mean, initially it's to meet women, We got to get a little liquored up, a little liquid courage to make it happen. Often it happens in bars, social settings, these kinds of things, a party. And then later on, it's a tear in my beer. Yeah. Right? When she walks out on me. And then I'm just drinking to forget. So... Yeah, what were we talking about again?
I had a couple of shots on top of my normal nightly routine at a bar many years ago, and there was a girl, and she was sitting with some people I kind of knew, so I knew I'd be able to go over there. Hey, what's up, man? How you been? And then make the introduction, and all I remember is her name was Chris. She was wearing an Ohio State sweatshirt, and her father, she told me, was a college football referee. This is all like in the 80s. And that's all. Right. I don't remember what she looked like, but I remember all that information. And I was like, really? Wow. And she had gone to Ohio State, and we were having a great chat. And then I was already feeling good about it, but I thought, a couple more drinks, and then I'm really going to be where I need to be. And then I had a couple more drinks, and then I said, excuse me. And I turned around and walked right out the back door and just hurled like an absolute, like a maniac, and then got my composure and walked right back in. And at some point in picking up the chat, she just said, do you think I don't know that you just went out there and threw up? And I went, I was hoping you didn't know. And she was like, yeah, I saw that. That was the end of the night. So, but
Well, What? You're a gentleman. You could have barfed right there on her shoes.
I tried
on
to
her
make
open-toed sandals, but you stepped outside.
I tried to make that point, and what I said instead was, if I'm being a gentleman, you don't appreciate it, you're not a gentlewoman. Or something like that. Wasn't really very good at all. I just looking back on those. Yeah, liquid courage is great. You don't need extra liquid courage. The lesson always. Hey, 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium in Denver this summer for the final nights of their M72 No Repeat Weekend Tour. For a shot to win Snake Pit tickets, that has a 360 view of the show for both nights, plus airfare and a hotel for two. Text the national keyword album to 95819 for your chance to win. The top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Let's get right to your top 5 at 9. 5 stories we think you're probably going to be glad you know about. If you've not been outside, hey, guess what? It is real cold right now. So cold that a lot of schools and organizations throughout Minnesota are closed today. Minneapolis Public Schools, Anoka Hennepin Public School District, many others will be shut down. Extreme cold warnings are still in effect until today at about noon. So we still got 3 or 4 hours before we start to see the temperature slowly move upward. The snow's coming. We're looking at maybe as many as 6 inches in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah.
New Orleans, Louisiana, preparing for a once-in-a-generation, at least, more like once every 100 years, snowstorm. 6 inches in New Orleans? That is the most incongruent thought I can imagine in my life. New Orleans in the snow makes absolutely no sense. That's palm trees in the Twin Cities.
Okay. Well, I mean, good luck to them. Who cares? They'll survive it somehow, or they won't. Maybe they'll bellyache about it.
No, listen, you just cannot imagine what it's like when a southern city gets not 6, but 2 inches of snow they're not prepared for. 6? I'm not exaggerating. If they get 6 inches of snow in New Orleans, and by the way, Houston is expecting as much as 5 inches. If they get that much snow and the temperatures stay low so it doesn't melt, complete shutdown of all city services for days on end. I've experienced it in the South. It's hilarious.
It sounds kind of like fun. I wish I could watch it on, cameras. Maybe I'll jump into the Louisiana Department of Transportation traffic cams and then just watch them. Of course, they'll probably stay home, unlike the folks running around our Minneapolis highways right now. A couple of lanes blocked. There's an accident out there. I don't know. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I just can't wait to stop my car, get out and meet a stranger under hostile circumstances and make first responders come out and rescue me, you morons. But yeah, 6 inches in New Orleans. Good luck to them.
They're gonna need all of the hooch they have stored upstairs to get through that. Trust me. Number 4 in your top 5 at 9. National championship game last night for college football. The Ohio State Buckeyes beat Notre Dame. I closed my eyes when it was 7-7. Fell asleep, looked up, it was 31-7 in the third quarter, and I was like, oh, okay, Notre Dame, thanks for not showing up to this one. They kind of came back, made it at least not sound so bad. 34-23, your final score. Ohio State following Michigan's national title last year. The trend in college football, because of the NIL, because you can just flat out pay players, it's all going to be the Big Ten for quite a while, because the Big Ten schools quite simply just have way more money. The SEC owned this sport for decades, and it's over. They cannot keep up. Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Penn State, these are massive schools with hundreds of thousands of alumni, all of whom really want to write a check for that next star quarterback. So the Big Ten is trending way, way upwards simply because they got more money to spend on 18-year-olds.
Okay. What I'm hearing, Steve, is that we're going to feel even sorrier for being losers with the Gopher program. Because before it was like, well, what do you expect us to do? We're in the frickin' Big Ten. How do we compete with the SEC? We just simply can't. Now we know it's simply because we can't recruit and we suck at football.
It's just down to the paycheck now. Look, Jessica Lang went to the U. Ron Perlman, Ric Flair, Henry Fonda. He's still got family. I'm just looking at a list of big-time alums from the U. Come on, some of you guys got to have an extra... Wait, hold on. David Soul went to the University of Minnesota? I never knew.
I'm going to have to Google some of these names.
Yeah.
David Soul. We brought him up
Starsky
recently.
and Hutch.
That's right. Kids.
Yeah.
That was a TV show.
Yeah, long time. I'm not. Yeah, I'm going down the list. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Sorry. Nope. Some great names. Some real talented folk. What I'm not seeing on that list is billionaires. And unlike a lot of the other Big Ten schools, not a lot of tech minds. I'm sure there are some out there. But anyway, yeah, Minnesota, if you want to get on the national radar, you just got to pay for it. It's just that simple. I mean, A kid was going to LSU. The highest-ranked quarterback in the country just switched to Michigan. And Dave Portnoy, the guy that founded Barstool Sports, and then Larry Ellison, the Oracle genius who's dating a Michigan grad, they both were like, oh, yeah, I put $2 million towards getting that kid. It's just like, yeah, whatever it takes. So, anyway, let's go Gophers. Slap leather, as they say. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Check this out. Speaking of Big Ten schools that don't have a chance of competing in the old or new landscape, Purdue University has done a study, and they're finding out about interpersonal relationships. They determined a great way to get a second date with someone is make sure that on your first date, after dinner, you order dessert.
Okay.
The brain has similar reactions. If you eat something sweet and you fall in love, your brain behaves in a similar way. There's dopamine that's released into the brain, and it activates those reward centers in a very similar way. So that little slice of key lime pie or strawberry cheesecake, that may do part of the job you couldn't do because of your horrible personality and your back knee. So somewhere in where it all went awry, order dessert, and maybe you can get some of that ground made back up. At least it might lead to a second date. How about that?
It sounds like it's complicating the process, because now during dinner, I don't have time in my free time, like afterwards thinking about it. Did I really enjoy it? Do I want to see her again? Now I have to decide before we get to dessert.
Yeah.
Am I going to commit to a second date here? And what if I just want a one-night stand? Do I not get the dessert? And then she thinks, oh, I see what's happening, so no dessert for me. You're not getting a second date. I don't know. It's complicated. What about booze? Maybe, it's a lot easier when you got them drunk. Always
a helpful aid right there. Maybe you go with the dessert, and then at the end of the night, the next morning, whatever, when you've had that aforementioned one-night stand, you simply say then, with the light of day upon us, I'm rethinking things.
I'm Venmoing you for that piece of chocolate cake last night.
That's exactly right. That dessert, retroactively, that's on you. We wouldn't be here if not for that dessert, and I think we both know this is going nowhere. Any number of things you can say to free yourself from the corner that you walked yourself into 9 hours earlier. Hey, check this out. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. Over the weekend, there was a fire in Wisconsin over there. Congressman Glenn Grothman, a Republican congressman in Wisconsin, was alerted to the fact that his congressional office was on fire, and it wasn't like an electrical short. It was clearly arson. Here's Glenn Grothman discussing what went down.
We got a call early this morning. Apparently last night around 1 o'clock, some 19-year-olds from Menasha came down and decided to try to set our office on fire. They didn't get in the office, but nevertheless, there was a lot of smoke in the office, which is obviously going to result in a lot of damage. A lot of the siding, an air conditioner look like they're quite damaged. But I suppose in today's world, things just keep getting worse. And rather than just call my office and saying, let's open up TikTok, he decided to try to burn it down.
Open up TikTok.
Get her opened up.
This fire set during the 12 hours that TikTok went dark. I think I give the kid credit for gumption. I mean, 12 days in, sure. But within 12 hours, my God. Like that's all it took. I mean, that's hatching a plan. That's getting the gas. That's finding the matches. That's executing a plan all within 12 hours. Think about how much he could get done in a day if he weren't worried about the TikTok going dark. And Zepp, you made the point earlier, and then he had to go through all this, shoot the video, and then he couldn't post it on TikTok. So he ends up just no better off than before he set the fire.
Yeah, no, you've got nothing to do with it. I think probably TikTok is good. I mean, we sometimes don't look at the benefits of social media or digital addiction, and that is this kid could be one of the all-time arsonists. Yeah. If it wasn't for TikTok, he'd be out setting things on fire left and right. He'd be, a burden to society. Thank you, TikTok. I'm glad it's back, and we can just settle down and stick our face on our screen where it belongs.
Yeah.
By the way, here's what it sounds like audibly when they shut TikTok off. This was in the first minute it was shut off.
We want to talk about criminal behavior. This right here. This is a crime. This is a crime against humanity.
Yeah. It's a crime against humanity.
Wow.
That was she had to find another social media app to post that on.
I'm kind of seeing your point there. The what we learned is probably everybody who's addicted to TikTok, for all the people of that generation that aren't, the world is their oyster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just go out there and get all the good jobs and work hard and get the life you want. Let's leave the people shuttered in with TikTok right where they are.
There you go.
It's the new opiate of the masses, and we're all better off with those people just staring at their phones. Yeah, there's always a silver lining to everything. It only took 12 hours. It's kind of like the movie They Live. Those 12 hours were us putting on our glasses and looking around and going, okay, don't need to know that person, don't need to know that person, never going to hire that person. Good, got it.
Yeah.
Clear them all out, baby. Hey, good morning, Harris, Minnesota. What's happening over there? Put on a blanket. Get an extra pair of socks on, would you? If you're just joining us, happy to have you, Harris. Mm-hmm. You know what to do. You got to bundle up and take care of business. That's what you got to do today. Finally, your number one story on your top 5 at 9. Fire Aid is the lineup is continuing to grow. What is Fire Aid? 2 concerts on January 30th in California. One is at the Intuit Dome. That's the Clippers' new arena. And then one is at the Forum, where the Lakers used to play. Now it's simply a concert hall. Raising money for rebuilding communities devastated by the wildfires. You'll be able to listen and or watch on multiple streaming platforms. It's going to be a typical tons of artists come out and play 1 or maybe 2 songs. Just yesterday, they added to the list Graham Nash, John Fogerty, Stevie Wonder, Alanis Morissette, the Black Crowes. A previously announced lineup, Earth, Wind & Fire, sure. Green Day, Jelly Roll, Joni Mitchell, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rod Stewart, Sting. So obviously, all generations, all styles of music, everybody jumping on stage to try to raise some money for fire relief. It's going to be a big old-fashioned TV cluster blank. Mm-hmm. Those things are hard to pull off. I'm sorry. Good luck getting all those people in and out on time or anywhere even close to it. But it's for a good cause. L.A. was just ravaged by these fires. And you'll be able to watch that bad boy on Apple TV, Max, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Prime Video, pretty much everybody. They're even going to show it live in certain AMC theater locations. So fireaidla.org if you want to make a donation. There you have it. Everybody jumping up on stage and doing their part.
Very fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very fancy. So that's going to be a pretty historic event.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.